Today I'm answering the question, do I really need running underwear? 7.98 miles, 6 minutes 58 seconds per mile today. A little bit of a faster run, enjoying my time out there along the lakefront in Chicago in the Under Armour running underwear, although you're not seeing that, you didn't see that in any of the footage. This video is a little bit harder to do, kind of like the running socks video that I made. Running underwear is a harder video to make because I'm not going to really show you my running underwear, at least while I'm in it. I'm not going to model that for you guys. You guys get the idea of what running underwear is. Lately, I've started running in half tights, and those usually don't have a liner inside, and so you're stuck with the dilemma of, do I go commando in those, or do I run with underwear in those half tights? I also have a whole bunch of shorts that I purposely bought without liners because in kind of that spring winter transition period, I like to run with full tights and then put the shorts on top, mainly for a little bit of modesty, but also to give myself some pockets to put stuff, because a lot of the full tights that I have don't have any pockets. So I have some shorts that I'd like to run in the summertime as well that don't have liners though, so I'll need to wear something underneath those to be a little bit more comfortable while I'm out there. So like the main areas that I'm looking for in terms of evaluating whether I need running underwear is how's it going to deal with heat and sweat now that it's summertime here in Chicago? How's it going to deal with kind of the two kinds of chafing? And the other kind of chafing that I'm really concerned about is there a tab like in the back of the underwear, kind of like where there's the seam where the fabric is sewn together. Sometimes there can be a seam back there and it can rub. So that's another thing that I'm looking for. And ultimately, is it comfortable? Do I like running in those? So those are the kinds of things that I'm evaluating whether I need running underwear or not. And spoiler alert, I am going to say that I do think running underwear is worth it. I think it's worth having, although there's a little bit of an asterisk for that, and I'll talk about that once I go over like which ones I reviewed and which ones I like the most. So the 4 that I reviewed, I guess 5, the 5th being like just regular Hanes underwear. I have 2 types of just regular underwear that I have. I usually wear boxer briefs, and one is just a cotton pair of underwear, just kind of as the control group. And the other one is, I wouldn't call it like a running pair of underwear, but it's more like an athletic. It's more like a dry fit type material that's available. Those are pretty cheap, both of those. So the first one I'll talk about is the Nike underwear. And that was the only one out of this group that came in a 2-pack. It was about $30 on Amazon, so about $15 per underwear, but you do have to buy 2 at a time. Now, those were really short. They were the shortest of the underwear that I looked at, and they were very cool in terms of running with them. They did a really good job at the heat management. The material was almost a bit silky. And so I think that's probably helped with getting the heat away from my body. And they had a very smooth kind of material or tab at the back of the underwear, so there was no chafing at all. I actually ended up really liking that pair. It was probably my second favorite pair of underwear of all the underwear that I looked at. Another pair of underwear that I looked at is the one from the running footage that you saw today, and that's one from Under Armour. I figured you got to look at Under Armour for this kind of thing because undergarments are like, whether it's compressive gear, underlayers, I think it is Under Armour's kind of bailiwick, so I thought, got to take a look at that. Theirs was $17 for one set of underwear. It's the heat gear, and I initially was confused as to whether heat gear would be good for dealing with heat or keeping heat in, especially when I put on the underwear, because they were slightly compressive and a little bit thicker than all the other running underwears that I looked at. But the shoes that I ran in over the winter were cold gear React, or I think that React CGR was the cold weather gear stuff that they have. So I figure heat gear is for the heat, but it was a little bit hot because it was a little bit thicker and it was a little bit compressive. And I don't need the compression necessarily, because a lot of times when I want running underwear, it's because I have compressive tights that I'm wearing on top. So I don't necessarily need that, but they were quite comfortable. And although they did end up chafing me just a little bit. The next pair of underwear that I'll talk to you guys about is Runderwear, which I think a lot of you guys are probably already familiar with. This is my first experience with them. And I was very surprised at how lightweight and thin and stretchy the material was, so very impressed. One part that was a surprise to me was that they have like a tacky strip right around like where they extend on the legs, and I guess that's so they don't ride up. Maybe because the material is so light and so stretchy, that's necessary. I've never seen that before. I've never thought about that before. So I don't know that it's necessary, but presumably it is because that material is so light and stretchy. It was very lightweight and comfortable to run in, although after a longer run that I had in these, I did also experience just a little bit of chafing. Still better than kind of my control group of just regular Hanes cotton underwear, but still did fairly well, and I was very happy with those. The Runderwear I was able to find on Amazon for $28. Now, the last pair of underwear that I'll talk about that I looked at was a brand on Amazon that I'd never heard of before, but seemed to be highly rated. It's called Ex-Officio, and that ended up being my favorite. It also ended up being the most expensive at $30 for a pair of these. It's twice as expensive as the Nike brand of running underwear, but this stuff, it was like almost like a dual layer mesh of kind of perforated material, and it was almost see-through when you could stretch it, and it was very stretchy. It was very light, very cool. It did really the best at heat management, and it did the best in terms of chafing as well. So that is definitely my favorite. They have a nice little cover along the back seam, so there's no chafing along the back either. So definitely my favorite pair of running underwear to run with. Now compare that to, and I'll talk about the one way where I think maybe I could be wrong on whether we actually need running underwear. The other main thing that I'll talk about is sizing. And so with these new underwear that I bought, I kind of looked at all the sizing charts, and these days I'm closer to a 28 than I am to a 30 size waist. So like medium and small, I'm kind of at that bubble when you're looking at pants for me. And so the underwear that I bought, I think I bought size smalls for all of these. And the Hanes underwear that I have was bought a little bit longer ago, and those were a medium. And so in terms of the chafing, that could come into play as well, where if it fits me a little bit more snugly and more like it's intended, that could help probably avoid some of the chafing. But I still did have chafing in some of the new ones that I bought that were size small. So I think sizing isn't the end all in terms of whether you need running underwear or not. I think there's a couple of factors that go into it. And much like the running socks inquiry that I went into a little while ago, I think it's going to be highly personal based on kind of your body shape and type and which brands kind of fit you better. So it's going to be a lot of guess and check, things that you're going to play around with. Fortunately for me, a lot of these brands that I played around with are going to work. I'm going to keep them in my rotation. Some will probably be more my favorites. The Ex-Officio and the Nike ones I think are probably going to rise to the top a little bit. But all four of them were ones that I enjoyed running in overall. And I'm probably going to look for those ahead of any of the Hanes ones that I have or have had already been running with. So those are my thoughts on running underwear. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if you have an absolute favorite brand that I haven't looked at, because I could always use another better pair of running underwear, and there might be others out there who have tried some of these and are still looking for a different option. So put them in the comments. Let us know what's been working for you so we can all kind of trade notes and have a little bit more of a comfortable time while we're out there running. Before I go, I do want to remind you guys about the charity runner for this week. It's Jerome DeCastro. He's running the Chicago Marathon and raising money for the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation, hoping to find a cure for that neurological disorder. I've already donated $70 to his fundraising efforts, and I'll post links in the description in case you'd like to learn more. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it to the end of the video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?